Hey everyone, I'm Rick Beato. I assume that most of you out there, when I say the term demoitis, know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that don't, demoitis is a disease. It's not specific to musicians, but it's a disease of expectation. So essentially you record something, doesn't matter what quality is, and then you listen to it so many times that when you actually go in to make the real recording of it, no matter how good it is, it doesn't have any of those nuances that you've grown accustomed to after listening to it a billion times. I was thinking about this. I was editing the video that I did last week with Tom Junkie XL, where he talked about the film director. You know, a film director will say something like, well, you know, what happened to that when the actor moves their eyes off this way? There was a viola thing that went with that. Well, that was in the mock-up. Oh, well, let's just use the mock-up. Okay, because once again, they get so tied to this. But I was talking to an old friend of mine just about 30 minutes ago about his band that I produced back in 2005. So they were a band. I've talked about them. I won't mention the name here, but I've talked about them on this channel before. But it reminded me of the story. We were laughing so hard about this. So we did a bunch of demos. This band had a massive bidding war. It's the only band ever signed to a production deal. And everybody thought they were incredible. They did 25 showcases, everything. Everybody kept telling them how great they were. So all this stuff was going to their head. Now, when we did demos, or either us together or them, we did them with a really cheap mic pre and a microphone. The mic pre was a PreSonus 2005 version of a PreSonus one-channel mic pre, and we used this mic right here. It's an Audio-Technica 3060 tube mic, okay? Not a bad mic, but so we have this massively big budget after signing this huge record deal. And it got to the point here where everybody had told the band how great they were that they didn't listen to anyone, especially me. So the label wants to pay for the band to go in, and they were a great live band, and cut at Capitol Studios live with a full orchestra. They hired David Campbell to write a string arrangement. They have a whole string orchestra out there, and the guitar player in the band said, well, we're taking this, the PreSonus mic pre. And I said, come on, man, you're joking, right? No. No, we have to do it with this. So we walk in. I mean, this was no, the A&R guy was like, no, let them do whatever they want. So we got a full orchestra in here. They paid, I don't know, 10 grand or whatever to have David Campbell do a string arrangement of this song. So he shows up with the PreSonus mic pre and this. Now, at Capitol Studios, they had the U-47 that Frank Sinatra sang through in Nat King Cole. Okay, a mic that's probably worth $30,000. It was sitting, hanging up, ready to be sung through with the vocalist, Carmen. So there's 4 engineers in the room, and they have a Neve 8068 at the studio. Here it is right here. And I'm looking at these 4 guys, and I walk in, or the guitar player walks in and he sets it down, the PreSonus mic pre, the $120 mic pre. He sets it down on the credenza 5 feet from this, $500,000 classic Neve console that's the best thing that they will ever record through. And then says to the engineer, hey, can you go put this up? She's going to sing through this. Now, I'm the producer. So they set this, so the guys are looking, the 4 guys are looking at me and looking at this, and they're like, they're joking, right? And so the band leaves the room, and I say to the guys, I say, okay, I realize how dumb this is, how ridiculous this is, but I've been dealing with this for 3-4 months now, okay? So there's no getting around it. I realize that there's a $500,000 console right there, and there's a U-47 in there that Carmen could be singing through. But unfortunately, she's going to have to sing through this instead, this $100 Audio-Technica mic. And the 47 is hanging up there, Beautiful, beautiful microphone. So it was, the thing was actually, it was a complete disaster. And of course, it never got used. It was, threw away all that money. The guys though that were working there, the engineer and the 3 assistants looked at me and they nodded their head and they're kind of, well, we've been there, but they've never seen anything that ridiculous. They never have. But it wasn't just them. I have my own story of demoitis. So I was playing in a band back in the early 90s, and the only thing that we had to record on was a Fostex X15 cassette recorder. And I didn't have any gear. I couldn't afford an amp and everything. I just had this little, Digitech thing that I could record with effects on it. And so we recorded the guitars through that, keyboards, vocals. That was the mic pre basically that went into the cassette player. And we did this demo of this song. And I listened to the demo a million times. So then we ended up going into the studio that had a Harrison console, really nice console. They had Neve mic pre's, everything. And the engineer that was working at the studio, it was in Ithaca, New York, is a guy that's won Grammys since then as an engineer, okay? So I said, we're going to use these. We tried to record the track, and it just didn't sound right to me because I was so used to all these nuances. Now, this tracks had distortion all over them. They sounded horrible, but I thought they sounded amazing. So we dumped the cassette onto the 2-inch tape machine, right? And I'm listening back and I'm thinking, oh, God, that sounds so good. And he's looking at me like, come on, man, you're not really serious, are you? So we set up and we recorded the drums. We redid the drums, and it was a drum machine before. And I just was thinking, oh man, this is I'm not feeling this. Okay, so anyway, so the label, the indie label that we were on, said this is terrible. This is really terrible. What is this? So anyways, they forced us to go in and work with a producer and an engineer in New York at this place, Sears Sound, amazing studio in New York City. And the producer was Richard Goddard, who produced Blondie and a bunch of big records, and a guy named Jeffrey Lesser, who was the engineer. So we went and recorded 3 or 4 songs, and every time that we were hearing stuff, we hated it. Okay, the singer hated it, we all hated it. So, but the label didn't care, or the guy that was paying for it didn't care, and they went off and mixed it, and they wouldn't let us come to the studio. And we got the mixes. Oh, it's too compressed. It's too this. Terrible. We're not going to use this. You know the deal. So anyways, nothing ever happened with that. And about 15 years later, when I started producing, I went back and I pulled out the tape. I found that tape with that on it, a cassette with that on it, with the things that they had done and recorded, and they sounded amazing. I mean, they were so fat, everything. And then I listened to our demo version that I thought sounded great, and it was so horrible that I just wanted to apologize to these guys. If they're ever see this, I apologize, Jeffrey, especially, that I thought that that thing was good, that these horrendously bad cassette demos were good. Demoitis, I had it. That, there's nothing I can say about it other than I'm sorry, I was an idiot. There's one more instance of demoitis that actually happened pretty recently, within the last few years. Now, since having these experiences, I learned to record things. When I did demos with bands, when I did writing sessions, always go through the best gear. Use a great mic pre, great microphone, get the performances just right, everything sounding great, just in case that ends up being the actual version. So I write a song with these 2 girls. I'm not going to mention who they are. And the song came out really great. I played the acoustic guitar. I did a little drum thing with it. I played keyboards. I played the bass. A full arrangement, but definitely a demo, though. And it was an odd tuning. So the girls played it for their manager. Everybody said, oh, man, this song is amazing. And it caught the ear of a bunch of people in the music industry up in Nashville. Well, T-Bone Burnett, who's a phenomenal producer, heard the song and said, wow, I want to produce that song. So when they told me, I was psyched, thinking, wow, this is going to be incredible. So then a few months go by, I don't hear anything about it. So one night I get a phone call, and it's the engineer for T-Bone. And he says, hey, Rick, listen, we're tracking these vocals. What was the chain that you used for recording it? What microphone, what mic pre? And I said, I looked it up and I said, I kept notes of everything. He said, I used a Shure SM7 going through a Neve 1073 and into an 1176. A very standard chain. He says, okay, great. Anyway, so then next day rolls around and I get another call. Rick, is there any way we can get the vocals from the original session? Because there were 2 vocals plus harmony parts. And I said, yeah, no problem. So it was all done to a click, and I sent him the vocals. Then I don't hear anything. A couple weeks go by. I was like, I wonder what happened to that. Where's that T-Bone? I can't wait to hear it. And I called the girls and said, we hated it. What? Yeah, it just didn't have the vibe. I was like, what are you talking about? Can I hear it? No, you can't hear it. So I called the manager, and he says, I don't want to talk about it. So a couple months go by, and then I hear that they're going in with another producer to cut the song again. I'm thinking, oh, brother, here we go. So comes down to mix down time, and I forget who was mixing it, Chris Lord Alge or somebody, or Justin Ebanks, some big mixers mixing the song, and I get a call. Hey, is there any way we can get the demo vocals? They've already cut the vocals to the song. Can we get the demo vocals? And I said, yeah, and I still had them on my desktop zipped up, ready to send. So I sent him the thing. Never hear the song. Nothing. A couple weeks go by. Nothing happened. What, call the manager. Yeah, they didn't like that. So I said, well, you could always release the demo that we did because it sounds fine. And that's what they did. So remember, don't get hung up on the nuances of a song that you're going to record again, if you are going to record it again, or better yet, record things right the first time, because that initial inspiration is usually the best. Make sure your vocals aren't distorted. Make sure that you got everything, that it's as good as you can make it. Not with cheap stuff that sounds bad, that has hissing and things like that. Record it as well as you can the first time, just in case that's the master take. That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. If you're interested in the Beato book, go to my website, www.rickbeato.com. And if you want to support the channel even more, think about becoming a member of the Beato Club. Thanks for watching.